What is up, Soul Fam? It's Sandra from Substance Overstar. Welcome to a new video. So I'm coming at you today from our new place by the beach. So excited to be here. Let me show you this amazing view. Ocean. You give me those ocean. Can you see that? Beautiful, huh? I'm so excited to be here. But right now we don't really have a lot of stuff. I've been doing my Tourian thing and, you know, making several trips into town to get like beautiful homewares and like baskets and kitchenware and making everything look really nice. So I don't have any incense today because I haven't bought any yet. It's not been on super high up on the list of priorities. But yes, today I want to talk about the whole independent woman trope. We're going to go back to the basics today. We're going to talk about some basic polarity stuff with obviously nuance, okay? Because, you know, there's so many people teaching basic polarity stuff in this space, and I feel like everybody's slightly different with all the different things that they think about how polarity works or how it should work. Now, I obviously have a certain understanding of polarity, which I feel is quite nuanced because I'm not like a feminine energy coach or a polarity coach or anything like that. I'm a Hieros Gamos. I'm a teacher of Hieros Gamos and a quantum field worker. So I approach things slightly differently. I don't think that necessarily relationships should be highly polarized, because a highly polarized relationship is, you know, for example, a narcissist and a codependent. That's an example of a highly polarized relationship. So I'm not saying that relationships should always be highly polarized. However, bringing a little bit of polarity into your relationship can be wonderful for getting things, just getting those fires going, you know, passion, chemistry, but at the same time also having a relationship that's healthy and stable and where you're both getting your needs met, both emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, all of those wonderful good things. Okay, so, you know, the independent woman trope that we've been fed by feminist doctrine since I can remember, since I was a kid. You know, we were taught from school, you know, to study hard. I went to a very academic school. Study hard, get a good job, so that you can take care of yourself. And I remember we used to find it so stressful, you know, with all these, you know, coursework deadlines and GCSEs and A-levels that we do in the UK. And sometimes this is a common thing that we used to say. We'd just like throw a book at a wall and just be like, why do I have to do this? Why can't I just find a rich man to marry? And it was kind of a joke, like we were joking, because we were like, of course, that's not an option, because that's not the world that we live in now. We knew that was not the world that we lived in now, okay? Because I grew up, like, I was born in 1985, so this was like in the 90s or early noughties. Probably more like the 90s, yeah. 90s, yeah, no, early noughties as well. A little bit early noughties as well when I was in high school, secondary school. So, you know, we knew that women have got to be able to provide for themselves, that they've got to be able to provide for their children, that they've got to do everything that men do. Because why not? Because we can, basically. We can, and we're just as capable, and therefore we should, and we should not ever need a man, and we should not ever rely on a man, which is basically that was what I was brought up with in the UK. Now, I do really feel like the conversation around feminism needs to be had, because, you know, a lot of these ideals that we were brought up with are not serving us. They're really not serving us, you know, at all anymore. Not just to do with, you know, women being able to do it all, because it's not just can women have it all, it's more can women do it all. That's basically what they're saying there. Can women have it all? It's no. It's like, it's can women do it all, and should women do it all? It's basically saying you can have it all. They're basically selling you the idea that you should do it all because you can, and therefore you should. It's such bullshit that we should be doing it all as women, okay? Because, like, men are not doing it all. They're not getting pregnant. They don't have to worry about getting pregnant. They're not responsible for contraception. They don't have to take hormonal contraception, which throws their hormones completely out of whack, completely fucks with their natural cycle, completely fucks with their mental health, with everything that's going on down there. If it doesn't, like, our wombs are heavily affected by it. And hormonal contraception will actually make you attracted to men that you wouldn't even normally be attracted to if you weren't on hormonal contraception. There have been so many stories about women. I would love to see the studies on this, though. If anybody knows of any studies that I can look at on this, that says that after women come off the hormonal contraception because they want to start trying for a family, that they cannot stand the way the pheromones of their partner, like they can't stand the smell of them, and they find him like physically, sexually repulsive. This is why I don't take, well, that's not the reason why, but I don't take hormonal contraception. I haven't since I was in my early 20s, so like more than 10 years. And that's not the reason why, but that I'm very happy that I don't have to deal with that, okay? There's other reasons why I don't take it. Y'all do whatever you want. I'm not telling anybody else what to do. But yeah, it's just kind of this thing that, like, now you have hormonal contraception, you can be just like a man. Like, let's just chemically alter our bodies so that we can be just like men. We can do everything that men can do. Let's ignore the fact that we bleed every month and we suffer pain, which they've now said the pain that we suffer during our hormonal cycle is akin to like a stroke or a heart attack. And yet we have to pretend that we're not going through it, and we still have to show up to work when, like, you would never see a man having a stroke or a heart attack still showing up to work. Like, I don't want to say never. There are some very, very hard-working men out there who maybe would, but it's not advisable. You know, thankfully, I do think now they're having conversations about, you know, giving women paid sick leave when they have their period. But for somebody like me, like for my healing work, I definitely try and take a day off when I have my period, or 2 days if I can, and don't take any clients on those days. But for modeling work, that's not quite so easy to do. Like sometimes I don't know exactly which day it's going to come. I know roughly which day it's going to come, but I can sometimes be off by 1 or 2 days. So if I have a shoot booked, you know, I still have to go to work, and it's absolutely horrendous. It's awful. I can't stand it. But yes, this whole independent woman trope that I can take care of myself, I don't need a man. When you're saying I don't need a man, you're basically either saying I don't want a man, so it's actually repelling your union, or you're saying I don't need a man to take care of me, therefore men who have no capability of providing for me or taking care of me or meeting my needs in any type of way or having anything to offer, please come into my experience and try and have sex with me. Try and enter my sacred temple whilst having nothing to offer. But it's okay. That's okay that you don't have an offering to enter the temple of the goddess, because I don't need anything, because I got it. I got it all. So you're basically becoming a free-for-all, and it's attracting these kind of parasites, basically. So have a look if this is landing, if this is resonating, if this is you. If it doesn't resonate, that's completely fine. I'm not just talking about, you know, men must be the provider and they must take care of you financially, because not everybody needs that or wants that. Some women are very perfectly capable of financially providing for themselves, but they want a male partner to bring other types of support, other types of provision that are not monetary, and that's completely fine, because everybody's coded in a different way, okay? I'm not saying that all women are on the feminine, 100% on the feminine pole, okay? There's the way that polarity works is, in some ways, your masculine energy will polarize your partner's feminine energy, and that can also produce sexual attractiveness, okay? It's not just about him being in his masculine and you being in your feminine in every way, okay? We have both, okay? Your shadow aspect will be either masculine or feminine. So even though in my relationship, my partner is the financial provider for us and I am more like the homemaker, because that suits us. he likes focusing on his work. He's very ambitious, he's very focused on, you know, getting ahead in his career, and he likes to be at his desk completely undisturbed and, you know, just bust out work all day. And I'm the kind of person where I like to chop and change what I'm doing throughout the day, like do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, I love being at home. I like making my house cozy, beautiful. I love cooking. It's one of my favorite things. So that it works for our relationship, but it's not, I'm not saying that should be the template for every relationship, so don't get it twisted what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you've got this whole independent woman trope, as I did and I used to, and I'll explain why I don't like it and why I'm not like that anymore, you're basically doing everything for yourself. And he's not doing anything. Like, you know, if you're a woman and you've got it financially covered for yourself, you might need him to help you look after the kids. If they're your kids, with him or with someone else, it doesn't necessarily really matter. I do tend to see this more, though, with women who already maybe have children from a previous relationship who are now school age, so they can focus more on their work. The reason why I take the position that I think that the male should be a provider more typically, and for me that's what I want, is because I'm childless, okay, and I want to start a family. And if you're a woman who's single, you're still childless, you want to have a family, consider whether that might be the model for you, because when you're pregnant, when children are very small, you know, that can affect your ability to work. Definitely for me, like, I don't have a corporate career where there's like maternity leave and things like that. Like, you know, I until I started doing the healing work, I was working as a model, and modeling is not really the type of, now there's like more work for like pregnant models and things like that, but even then, like, your ability to work is still compromised when you're pregnant, because it affects your brain, it affects your energy levels, like, it affects your ability to move around. There's certain things that you can't physically do when you're got like another person inside of you. So, and when children are infants, they need to be near their mother. Like, they just need to be near their mother every few hours so that they can breastfeed from her. So there's a reason why historically it was like that. And I think that if that's what you want as a woman, you should start expecting that, basically. And I think too many women feel shy about expecting that, or feel like it's like gold digger. Like, when I have conversations with people about this, like the kind of things that people say, oh, what does that say about you, that you're expecting him to pay when he takes you out on a date? I'm just like, well, isn't he expecting to want to be intimate with you at some point? And it's just like, well, what does that say about you, that you're a prostitute, basically? It's like, no. A prostitute is somebody who expects a man to pay lots of multiple different men to play every single time, okay? Expecting a man who invites you out on a date and wants to pursue a relationship with you that will eventually lead to intimacy is you vetting which man has a provider mindset, because you don't want to end up humped, dumped, pregnant, and left vulnerable to take care of yourself, basically. You want to know that he's going to stick by you because his intentions are honorable, and he knows that his role as a man is to provide for you and any future offspring. This is like basic biology, basic fundamental male female biology. But I feel like nowadays, with all this fucking gender confusion and, you know, giving women hormonal contraception, and it's got everybody so confused about what men are and what women are. And we have to be able to get back to the truth and have these conversations. So yes, as a woman, you can do a lot of things by yourself. But if you're like constantly trying to project this, like, I'm badass, I'm independent, I can take care of myself, I'm a cool girl, I'm not like other girls, I'm not like those other girls, them gold diggers over there, like I don't want anything from you, you can just fuck for free. That's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a guy who's gonna want to come and fuck for free, and he's not gonna have anything to offer you. And if anything, if you ever expect him to do anything for you, to do anything nice for you, he's going to act like you're being an entitled gold digger. So just save yourself from all of that and start knowing your worth and your value, okay? We are the mothers of humanity, okay? And we deserve to be taken care of. If that's what you want, then you deserve to be supported. You deserve to be protected, okay? Protection, I could do a whole other video about protection, but like trying to pretend that you can take care of yourself also in terms of like that a man doesn't need to protect you, that he doesn't need to make sure that you get home safely, that he doesn't need to like, you know, not leave you on your own when you guys are out in the middle of nowhere. Just those kinds of things, like, you know, it can be. So I'll share two stories with you, two maybe three stories with you about this whole independent woman thing. Okay, so I was traveling through Asia, and it was when I was modeling in Bangkok, and I wanted to visit another part of Asia, and I had a friend who was living there who said that he could host me. He was just like, come and stay with me, I've got a spare room, would love to have you. And I was like, okay, my plane lands at this time. So I told him what time my plane lands, and then I think I messaged him from the airport saying, okay, just landed, get my stuff, I'll be with you, you know, as soon as I can. Now, obviously, it takes some time when you're in a new country or in a new place to kind of figure out how to get from, you know, the airport to get through baggage control, passport control, whatever it is, and then figure out how to get to wherever it is you need to get to, okay? That can take some time. When I got to his house, there was no one there. There was no one in the house. The house was completely empty. I can't remember if there was a sign on the door or if I found this out later, but I just kind of sent him a text message being, hey, I'm here, like, where are you, what's going on? I think he may have left a sign on the door saying I just popped out for a bit, and I'll be back. And so I waited. I don't think he said how long it was going to be. I don't know why he didn't just text me to say that he was going out and what time he was coming back, but anyway, I texted him to say, listen, I'm here, you know, just waiting for you. Didn't get any response, tried to call him, he didn't pick up. And then some random girl showed up and she was like, oh, are you here to deliver something? And I was like, no, I'm a friend of so-and-so's and, you know, I'm here to stay, like I'm his guest. And she kind of rolled her eyes. And this is not his fault, but, you know, he just had a very nasty housemate. And she kind of rolled his eyes and she was like, oh, I think they're swimming at the local so-and-so resort. Like, they seem to do, I think that's something that they do. Like, it's like their daily routine or something, or their weekly routine. And, you know, he'll be back in like an hour or two. And I was like, what? Like, who fucking does that? So I was messaging another friend. I was just like, this is what's happened. I don't know what to do. Like, should I wait? Like, and I was honestly, like, I was quite upset by the situation. I was thinking, okay, I might just go find somewhere else to stay. And he just messaged me back, this friend of mine just messaged me back going, just do your own thing. And I just said, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I called a taxi and I left, and I just went and found a hostel, like a cheap hostel to go stay. And then I got an angry message from him going, hey, like, where are you? Like, I just said, oh, I've checked into, well, I got a message from him going, hey, I'm back, so-and-so told me that you were here, like, are you coming back? And I just went, listen, I just checked into a hostel, I'm good. And he was just like, what? Why would you do that? He goes, I spent like a whole day preparing the room for you. And he basically accused me of being rude because I didn't stay or because I didn't show up. And I was just like, are you kidding? Like, I show up at the house, there's no one there, like, I have no idea where you are. I tried to text you, tried to call you, you didn't pick up. Like, I would never do that. If I was hosting someone, I wouldn't be popping out. like I'd maybe say, hey, what time are you arriving, because I just need to pop out, so let me know if I have time to pop out. But I would not be leaving the house unattended while I'm waiting for a guest who's coming from another country with like fucking luggage and shit, or like another city. And his defense was, oh, I just didn't think it would be a problem because you're just so independent, like, you know, you didn't even ask me to pick you up from the airport, and so I just thought that you would be fine, you're just so independent. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm real fucking independent, I'm just gonna go take care of myself now and stay somewhere else. And so we didn't really talk much after that. Like, we've spoken a couple of times since then, but you know, this is not the type of person that I would go stay with now. Yeah, this is, I'm not saying that it's my fault that happened, and because I'm so independent that's now justifiable, but it gives people a certain invitation to behave in a certain way, knowing, because they have the assumption that you can take care of yourself, like, she's fine, she's got it covered. Whereas I have other friends who go more into the kind of damsel in distress kind of energy, that I also don't necessarily advocate, because I think that there's problems with that, but I will say they get men to look after them. They get men to behave like gentlemen around them. They get the red carpet treatment. They get picked up, they get dropped off, they get paid for, they get wined and dined, okay? Again, when you go too much into that polarity, it can cause other issues, which I've talked about in, let me just refocus this, which I've talked about in previous videos about the wounded feminine. So you got to be really careful about this and find that sweet spot. Obviously, you know, with the healing journey, it can be a bit like a pendulum or like a spiral, which is why I tell people to do the kriyas that I teach in Reclaim Your Crown, because it will help you neutralize those polarities and stop you swinging too much from one to the other and avoid really painful situations. So that's a system that can really, really help you with balancing this. But I'm going to tell you another story now. So this was also when I was in my I'm Not Like Other Girls kind of programming, and I was dating this guy who I met in Bali. It's not Greg, who I'm with now, who I also met in Bali, but this was a different guy that I met in Bali. And then we moved to the UK together. And we decided to go for a run, like in the woods in London. And it was my local woods, so I could understand why he thought that this was okay. But looking back, I would do things differently. So we're going for a run together, like, let's go for a run. So we're running, we're jogging, and he just basically like zooms, like goes really, really fast, and just goes really far ahead of me. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't really want to be sprinting at that speed, and like I don't know where the fuck he's gone. And this was quite early on in our relationship, like this we're still new in our relationship, so I was just like, okay, that's a bit fucking weird how he's just gone and done that. But I was just like, do you know what, leave it, okay? I was pissed off. I was just like, I felt abandoned. I felt like he was not taking care of me, like he should have stayed with me. Not just because it's polite, because we've decided to go for a jog together, not separately, okay? It's like, you know, going for a walk on the beach and then you just fucking zoom and leave the other person on their own. It's just, it was not polite. But secondly, I just felt like it's kind of, he's leaving me in an unsafe situation. Now, this is where it gets really nuanced, okay? Because I've jogged in that woods loads of times by myself, okay? So it's not like I'm in an unsafe situation, okay? Because I know those words. But at the same time, I still don't want my man who, like, because the thing is, when you're a woman and you want to do certain things, you will take measured risks, okay? It's not like me jogging in that woods by myself is completely without risk. It's not. Anything, as a woman, We know anything can happen to us at any time, okay? We can get molested, we can get attacked, we can get raped, we can get kidnapped, okay? The likelihood of that happening is not 0, but we choose to live our lives anyway, okay? Now, the benefit of having a man is you don't have to worry about that, because he's now there to protect you, to make sure that those things don't happen to you. Now, if he runs off without you, yes, okay, the likelihood of something bad happening to you now that you're on your own is still probably pretty low. And, you know, you do those things all the time anyway. This is where I'm talking about the whole independent woman thing. But now, it's just like, well, what's the point in me having a man if I still have to take care of myself? Why should he get access to my golden goods when I'm not getting the benefit of him? I'm not getting his protection, okay? So if you're upset about a man doing something like this to you, it's okay to acknowledge it. It's okay to admit it. You don't need to stuff it down. You don't need to suppress your emotions. You don't need to suppress your natural femininity and pretend that you're a cool girl and that you're fine with that. Because that's how men behave, okay? That's how men are programmed to behave, to show that they're not emotionally weak. Women, we are emotionally weaker, okay? We're emotionally more, not weaker, we're emotionally more sensitive because we're more physically vulnerable. Okay, so if you have a man, you should be able to get the benefits of being with that man, which is his physical protection. Okay, now conversely, I had a situation very similar to that happen yesterday with my now partner. Okay, we were going for a walk on the beach, really long walk on the beach, and the sun was setting, and he wanted to go look at this set of mangroves. So he goes, come on, I was getting quite tired because, you know, I'd been walking around all day in the markets, shopping for food and things like that. So I was already tired. But also I'm smaller than him. I'm physically smaller and weaker than him. So I was struggling to keep up the pace with him. So I asked, can we please sit down for a little bit? And then after we'd sat down for a little bit, he was just like, okay, can we just, you know, before we go back to the house, let's just quickly go over there and I want to see this thing. And I was like, okay, sure. So we got up and he starts walking. Now the pace that he was walking at was pretty quick because he was trying to see this thing before the sunset. It was too quick for me to keep up with. So I started falling behind and I started falling more behind. And he just kept on going, kept going. And I was just like, at first I was trying to catch up with him, but then I was just like, I feel like a fucking idiot. Like this is kind of humiliating. I was triggered as well because it reminded me of the earlier situation. So this is where I talk about healing is like a spiral. I'll probably do a separate video talking about how healing is a spiral. It's not a linear path. So you will find yourself repeatedly triggered by the same things that, you know, it was probably even triggering something even earlier, even deeper within me when the previous guy did that. But at that time I suppressed it because probably as a child, and I don't know exactly what it was, I would have to do some quantum field work on myself to go to do timeline repair and find out what the earliest wound was, where this trigger was coming from. Sometimes it's even past life stuff. And that can sometimes come up in quantum field work. Sometimes we can access your past lives. Or it could be like collective stuff, like collective feminine stuff. But I was just like, oh, I feel like an idiot. I feel humiliated. I feel like I'm just following him like a little fucking lamb or like a lost puppy and chasing after him. And I was just like, I don't like this. I don't like how this feels, and he should be a gentleman and he should match my pace and make sure that I'm safe and not just fucking run off like that. So, do you know what I did? I turned around. I was just like, fuck this. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna do what I need to do to take care of my emotional needs right now. So I just walked back and I was just like, he can come run after me. And yes, okay, it's a little bit sassy, but when he came back, when he was done with what he was doing and he came back and we talked about it, I didn't suppress it, okay, like I had done with the previous guy. I didn't pretend that it wasn't an issue. No, it's fine, you can do whatever you want. I don't need you. That was how I used to be. That was the old story, okay? It's fine. You can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to control you. I don't need you. I can take care of myself. I'm independent. This time I was just like, yeah, I was upset that you walked off without me. And he was just like, oh, I thought you knew that I just quickly wanted to go see that thing before the sunset. Like, I didn't want us to be walking back in the dark. And I was just like, well, fine. And I clarified and I said, I'm not saying that it was a completely calm conversation, okay? We both did get a little bit upset. I just said, I'm not saying that you did anything wrong. I'm not saying that you were wrong for going to do that. But I'm saying I would have appreciated a better communication, that you were going to go off by yourself, or you were going to keep your own pace and not match my pace and do the walk together, that you really wanted to see it, whether it's with me or without me, that you would rather see it than walk with me, and just check in with me and make sure that I'm okay with that I don't need you, that I'm fine, that because the sun was setting as well. So, and this is like a new, we've just moved here, so it's, there's parts of the beach that are a little, sketchy, where there's like rocks and shit like that. So I felt like comfortable in saying to him, I felt abandoned, I felt humiliated, I felt like you were being selfish, and that there was a lack of communication, and I would have preferred to have your protection as I'm walking along the beach. If you're going to leave me for a little bit, that you just tell me that you're going to leave me, and not just go, hey, let's both just do this, and then you just run. So we resolved it in the end. It wasn't necessarily an easy conversation, but I feel much more safe that I can get not just my physical and, my physical needs, basically. Safety is like a physical need, but also my emotional needs, because your physical safety as a woman is also going to be tied to your emotional safety. The fact that you can trust that this person is not going to abandon you in your most vulnerable time, okay? Because as women, our nervous systems are hardwired to check for that, because of our physical vulnerability as women, but also as mothers. Like if we're pregnant or if we have small infants, we need to know that the man, if he's going to abandon us in these kind of small moments, is he going to abandon us in the big moments, in the important moments? So be comfortable with having those conversations, with embracing your natural femininity, even if it's not rational, even if it's not logical, even if it doesn't make sense to his logical, rational mind, okay? You just connect with your feelings. You don't need to make him wrong. You don't need to say, that was bad what you did, like you're a bad person. Like, even though I did say that I thought that it felt like he was being selfish, I understand sometimes he's going to want to do things for himself. That's okay. Like, he doesn't exist to serve me, okay? We're both here to meet each other's needs, but not all the time without question. But it's also okay for you to communicate your feminine heart with him. Obviously, pick your battles with this. Don't bring up every little thing. But I'm just saying that it's okay. Why am I still blurry? Okay, I'm nearly at the end now, so I don't think I'm going to try and fix it. It's okay for you to not be so independent and such a boss babe and such a badass all the time. Okay, it's okay for you to sometimes come across as a little bit emotionally weak and vulnerable, and there's strength in that. There's strength in admitting your vulnerabilities and acknowledging your weaknesses. So yes, let's see if I can access the Q&A that we did last week and open some of these. Sorry, I'm just reinstalling Instagram. Let's see if I can answer some of these questions. Okay, first one is Natia. I'm really struggling with this name. Natia Lay. How can we find our life purpose mission? I feel confused about my path. Develop a direct relationship with your creator. Start developing a really close relationship with God, and talk to him, talk to her. However you, wherever you are in your path, you may resonate more with the feminine frequency, the Holy Mother, or, you know, for me, these days I'm always talking to Holy Father. Because I feel like he gives me a lot of guidance and direction and structure and all of that. But sometimes also when I'm connected to the feminine, that I get really powerful, really intense downloads. So yeah, not that that's the gender of God is not super relevant to this, but start developing a relationship with your creator. Start healing yourself. Start going in the direction of what you feel passionate about, whether the passion is like positively charged or negatively charged. It could be something that you feel negatively charged by and negatively activated by and want to change, but then there'll be also things that you feel positively charged by, like things that you're excited about, things that light you up. And I do feel like, for me personally anyway, your dharma is like somewhere in between those. It's like the kind of merging of those kind of two frequencies, but it's also like a body-mind thing. So talking to God, talking to Creator, and listening as well. So prayer is when we talk to God, meditation is when we listen, and then embodiment practices that help you tune into your body so that you can listen to the wisdom of your body and follow those gut feelings and those impulses, and where you feel excitement about certain things that will push you in the right direction. But I think with like purpose, mission, it's something that it's difficult to, I don't know, for me personally, it's difficult to not do what I'm called to do, because I just do it. Like, I don't question it. But I mean, having said that, I did talk about in a previous video about the overlays and the limiting beliefs that kind of kept me blocked for a long time. So clearing those, you know, through trauma healing work can really, really help. I can't go into too much detail without knowing you personally and what is actually holding you back from doing, you know, your mission. But also understand that it's not like your highest calling is not something that you're always necessarily going to know. Like, so it changes from day to day. Like, your mission evolves. So just keep going in the direction that you feel like you're most excited about and you're most pumped by, but also the one that's going to support you. Like, I'm not saying like just give up your day job because you're super excited by this, because sometimes that can also lead you down a path, but that's also sometimes an initiation as well. Okay. Somebody asked, what do you think of so many people dying from heart attacks and strokes? Obviously, I mean, we talked about this all last year, okay? We know, I'm not getting exasperated with the person that's asked this question, so please don't misinterpret my tone. But we fucking told you so. Not you who asked the question, but like, I hate to say we told you so, and I'm not, like, I don't like saying that, but we did warn people, and now it's happening. And it's very, very tragic, and I do feel bad for anybody that wasn't given the right information or wasn't exposed to the right information. But I just feel like with such a pushback against us and, you know, calling us anti-Vs and conspiracy theorists, how could you not have known that there was another side of things? Like, how can you have been that brainwashed that you didn't know that there was an alternative perspective and that there were very credible doctors warning people not to take it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not blaming anybody who's now, you know, suffering or whatever, but I mean, maybe I am, I don't know. But it's very sad. It's very, very sad. I know several people that, you know, have died suddenly who all had it, or I very, very heavily suspect that they had it, not all of them I know personally. Some of them are people who are like close to friends of mine, and I haven't asked did they have the thing, because I just feel like it's a little insensitive, and I don't want to be like, it's their fault that they died because they should have known, because I do feel like a lot of people were just not given informed consent. And I'm not saying that people should have necessarily listened to us, because I know I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but why weren't the doctors and the nurses telling people? Like, that's what we should be asking, okay? The reason why I trusted people who were not doctors and nurses is because I had doctors and nurses give me stuff that damaged my body, which I've talked about in previous videos, that they didn't tell me about. They didn't give me informed consent. So I don't trust doctors and nurses. So if you're only trusting doctors and nurses, then you're a fool, basically. And you should be understanding that if somebody is on the payroll of Big Pharma, that is a conflict of interest, okay? So start being more open-minded and listen to people who have nothing to gain and plenty to lose by going out of their way to warn you. Okay, we're not crazy. We weren't warning people just because we get some kind of clout for it. No, okay. I took a massive fucking hit with my career and just my reputation amongst mainstream people. Although I like to think that it gives me a lot of credibility amongst actual truth seekers, the fact that I had the integrity to actually come out and say something, despite, you know, all the assassinations on all of our character, everyone who was speaking out about this. But we didn't have, the only agenda we had was warning people. So, you know, and it's not like this is the first time, it's the first time that I've spoken up about something that was unpopular, okay? I've always spoken out despite whether the opinion is popular or not, and been character assassinated for it, and have been proved correct with most of the things that I've said. So at a certain point, like, are you going to start listening to the people in your lives who are like me, speaking up about things that make them look really unpopular, but because they genuinely care, and time will prove that they were on the right side of history. I'm sorry to get it's something that it was my main thing that was driving me last year, and I don't like being right this often. Okay. So somebody asked, woke up to kidneys burning with no UTI. Heard this has to do with twin flame stuff. Please, like, this sounds like some new age garbage that you've been listening to, like, with all due respect, but a lot of the twin flame teachings are just basic bullshit. They're just new age bullshit, okay? Yes, there's some basis of organic creation codes that they're based upon. So it's a combination of stuff to do with actual Hero Scammers teachings, and inner alchemy teachings, tantric teachings, and then some alien love bite stuff. Lisa Renee is the person that you need to really look into her work if you want to know about alien love bites. A lot of people experiencing twin flame are actually experiencing alien love bite or reptilian interfacing, which my mentor Emily Joy Harris speaks about in greater detail in her videos that you can watch for free on YouTube, not YouTube, on Facebook. I can help people clear reptilian interfacing or alien love bites if you're experiencing that. It's something that I went through. It was a very intense initiation for me, and it stole years of my life, okay? Literally years of my life were just wasted. I don't know, it was like 3 years of my life that I cannot get back just on this garbage, believing this garbage. 1 second, I just need to talk about the water. Okay, and then some of it will be watered down from teachings. Again, Hiro Scammers teachings around genetic equals. Now, genetic equals is different from, in the New Age they teach the twin flame as, the other half of your soul. So it's actually you, but just incarnated into a different body, like a masculine body. If you're the feminine counterpart, then it will be, the other half of your soul. Okay? Genetic equals is not like that, okay? There is no other half of your soul. You're a complete soul unto yourself. However, it's based on organic creation codes, some of which have been talked about in the Bible, where in the highest dimensions, up near the Godhead, like the 12th dimension, where the Elohai reside, there are angelic beings which are androgen, okay? And then they emanate into these other fractals of consciousness, okay? So they'll have an emanation that basically mirrors the original source of creation, where it emanates from the 0 point into the divine masculine, divine feminine, i.e. Christ Sophia, the masculine feminine Christ, and then the Elohai will also, you know, mirror the same architecture of creation. So it will separate into masculine emanation and feminine emanation, and those are genetic equals. Now, some believe that there were, you know, part of the 144,000 that are incarnated now on this planet, and they are the divine unions, genetic equals, beloveds that will come together to build the new earth. I'm not 100% on where I stand with all of that. I don't necessarily believe that we all have a genetic equal divine counterpart on this, in this physical plane. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to live my life waiting for my genetic equal, or try and project some genetic equal stuff onto my partner who doesn't really care about any of this stuff, okay? Not saying that he's not spiritual. He's very spiritual, and he's a very good moral person with a lot of integrity. But all of this ascension mechanic stuff doesn't really interest him, okay? And I see a lot of women who are like, oh, I'm looking for my divine beloved, and I just want to find a man who's into all of these ascension teachings. And I'm just like, okay, good luck with that. Like, good luck with that. You know, you do you. I'm not going to tell anybody else what to do. But I'm not about that life, because I literally wasted years of my life on that kind of thinking, okay? And if you want to do that, do you. But I'm just not going to do that anymore. Like, I'm very, very happy with my life and my relationship and the work that I'm doing now, and it's all been supported by the love of a good man who does not have to be the other half of my soul. Maybe he is, who knows, okay? Because I've met some people who I actually do believe are genetic equals, if that is a thing, who didn't know in the first few years that they were genetic equals, and didn't know about any of this stuff, or didn't care about ascension mechanics, and hadn't gone that deep down those rabbit holes. So I don't think that you necessarily always know, if it is a thing that we all have. Okay, so somebody asked me, am I coming back to India? I would love to work with you. Yes, I do plan to go back to India this year to finish my Himalayan Kriya Yoga training. So watch out for Reclaim Your Crown Part 2, because yeah, that is very much my intention. Somebody asked, where am I actually from? And bikini suits the best on me. Thanks. I'm wearing a bikini today. I'm actually from London. So somebody asked, a couple of people asked where I'm off to, like where I'm moving to. I'm not telling y'all where I live. I live in Mexico, but I'm not saying any more than that. I've told some of my clients and like friends and acquaintances and stuff, but I'm not going to publish it here on YouTube. Because I don't think it's actually that good for my safety. Like, even when in London, I don't tell people which neighborhood in London I live in. Secondly, I do not want this part of Mexico turning into Tulum. It's not Tulum, by the way, so you can rule that out if you want to try and figure it out. I do not want this part of Mexico turning into Instagram land like Bali or Tulum. So, you know, I'm going to be very careful. I'm not saying I'm never going to tag any restaurants or places that we go to. So, you know, if you're a sleuth, then you'll probably be able to figure it out, but I'm not going to just publish it for anyone to know about. So somebody's asked, any tips on how to feel beautiful inside and out regardless of circumstances? Two things, okay? Work on your energy, okay? A lot of beauty is like the physical manifestation of your inner state, okay? So if you feel good about yourself, obviously it goes deeper than that. Like there are people who are in the space of, you know, energy healing and quantum field work who actually do beauty activations and things like that. So, you know, if you're looking for somebody to do that, DM me and I can recommend you some people. What was I going to say? Focus on your inner state, okay? Affirmations are my secret weapon, for this, okay? Affirmations are a fundamental part of what we do in Reclaim Your Crown. We'll do Kriyas to detox the body of traumas and limiting beliefs, and we'll use affirmations to rewire new belief systems. But you can also just use affirmations throughout your day. So if you're to listen to the stories that you're telling yourself, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, I'm so out of shape, I look fat. Flip that. You gotta flip that, okay? Even if you can't look in the mirror and say that you look gorgeous, that you're fleshy, that you're juicy, that you're bountiful, that you're curvy, that you're goddess personified, if you don't believe that, you can just say something like, I'm just carrying a little extra water weight, it'll be off by tomorrow. Tell yourself something that you can believe until you start to see it work, okay? Because those affirmations will actually change how you look, okay? I tell myself all kinds of things. I tell myself that I never age, which is why nobody can tell that I'm nearly 40. I tell myself that my body's perfect, which is why I'm a healthy size 8 without doing anything extra when I used to be a size 12, okay? When I was younger, I used to be a size 12 because I constantly used to tell myself I'm never going to be skinny. I'm never going to be skinny. I'm never going to look like those girls in the magazines. I'm never going to be, look like a model. And then I changed my beliefs. I read The Secret, which I know is a lot of false light, but a lot of it is true and a lot of it works. I read The Secret at 22 and I completely rewired my belief systems, okay? So now I'm a healthy size 8 and I've maintained that for more than 10 years. I have great skin, as you can see. Like, I don't age. I haven't, I haven't started aging yet. So just tell yourself good things about yourself, and that's until you start to believe it. Somebody asked, how did you miss Jamie Yvonne? You should actually all go follow her. She's really sweet. She's modeling here in Mexico City and does pageants, and she does a lot of work on gender equality, not in a feministic way, okay? Not like a independent woman, I can do everything that a man can do. I've had conversations with her about that. She talks about gender-based violence and particularly about the issues with the trafficking of girls and women. I mean, obviously there's also a really terrible issue of children of all genders being trafficked. Mexico is really bad for that, and most of them are kind of being taken over the border into the US. So she talks a lot about that. So she asked, how did you like modeling in CDMX, i.e. Mexico City, compared to other places? So I really, really like the scene here in Mexico. I would say the rates here are definitely less than London. And for me also, they're less than what I would get in Asia. And I don't know why, because it's more expensive to live here than it is in Asia, but I don't know, maybe it's I was just able to command better rates in Asia because I was more in demand there. So I haven't been like crazy busy here, but it's been pretty consistent, and the jobs have been very professional, very organized. All the creatives are really talented. I mean, the budgets are fine, like they're not like, really, really low or anything like that. They're just, hello.
Are you in the middle of something?
Huh?
You in the middle of something?
Yeah, I'm filming myself. Nothing. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're fine. Like it's just less than what I was getting in Asia. So I just wanted to be completely honest about my experience here. But yeah, like the talent here is, the talent, like I've met so many amazing creative talented people all over the world, so it doesn't surprise me that there's also really, really talented creatives here in Mexico, and I'm excited to do more collabs. And I did say when I answered this question in my stories that if there are any creatives who are based in anywhere in Mexico and want to do like some test shoots, some creative shoots, some editorials, even though those don't pay, I love doing those. Like I just love creating, beautiful photography. So hit me up, send me a DM on Instagram, and let's collab. So somebody asked, how tall am I? I feel like I answer this every time we do a Q&A. I am 5'8". Okay, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. One love.